Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, tonight we're going to talk about something that I have heard all over my comments since the Bruen decision came out. What's going to happen if the states just flat out ignore the ruling, i.e., California or New York? Well, I'm going to walk through that. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Everything is going to be linked for your review, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think of this. Now, on a personal note, it is my birthday. I mentioned it in my video earlier this morning, and you guys gave me the best birthday present ever. We passed 400,000 subscribers today in the afternoon before our midnight cutoff. So effectively, you guys gave me 400,000 subscribers on this channel on my actual birthday, and for that, I'm eternally grateful, and that is incredible. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, so now, guys, let me get into this content. Again, everything is linked in the description. This is my disclaimer. I am not a lawyer of any kind. I've linked these sources down below from what I've found in recent history as well as a little bit further back. But do your own research and come to your own conclusion. If you disagree with what I'm saying here, leave it in the comments field below because this is something that's pretty crazy, and we're going to use a source which ironically is from 2015, which is going against another Supreme Court decision of gay marriage. Now, this is interesting because it's coming from the left-leaning Atlantic. This is not a conservative source. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field. Let's dive in because obviously there's something that is applicable here. Can states ignore the Supreme Court on gay marriage? Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz are suggesting there might be ways for states and cities to nullify the justice's ruling, and they're wrong. Again, this is from 2015, the Atlantic far-left source. Check this out. The Supreme Court's decision last week did make gay marriage legal around the nation. Unfortunately for social conservatives, it did not, however, make nullification legal around the nation. Now, nullification is one of the things that is going to come out of this. Check this out. This is interesting. Nullification is the historical idea that states can ignore federal laws or pass laws that supersede them. This concept has a long but not especially honorable pedigree in U.S. history. Its origins date back to antebellum America, where southern states tried to nullify tariffs and northern states tried to nullify fugitive slave laws. In the 1950s, after Brown v. Board of Education, some southern states tried to pass laws to avoid integrating schools. It didn't work because nullification is not constitutional. It's not constitutional, so the object of passing a law that conflicts with federal gun laws is not an option. That's not going to happen. So that one, off the board. But what if New York and California continue to make their own laws and violate particularly that sensitive places part that Thomas put in that opinion? That's where I really want to get to. Check this out. Really, the only way a state or jurisdiction can legally circumvent the court's ruling would be to stop issuing marriage licenses altogether. Quote, but that would be self-defeating, particularly among people who would view marriage as a foundation of American society. So if you're talking about gun licenses and concealed carry permits, the only way to nullify where anyone would get them or carry them would be to stop doing them. Well, that is a blatant infringement upon the Second Amendment, so that's not going to happen. That's not an option. We're starting to narrow it down, but this is where it gets really interesting. Going back to Governor Wallace in Alabama in the 50s and 60s with Brown v. Board of Education. Interestingly enough, another Democrat who did not like the rulings. Let's continue, because these governors, it's interesting how the Democrats... Anyway, unlike in the 1950s and 60s, it seems unlikely that the government will send in troops to enforce the court's ruling on marriage. That's because they won't have to, which is a positive sign for the rule of law in the United States. But there may be a period of litigation as marriage equality opponents exhaust every possible path and possibly their state's coffers fighting against the ruling. Exactly applicable to what we're talking about with the Bruen case and with concealed carry rights and Second Amendment rights in these states. You can either have the executive branch enforce existing law in the court's opinion through, example, 1950s, 1960s Governor Wallace, Alabama integration, or you can go down a different route of where the states continue to pass infringing laws and they continue to get taken to civil court and they just pay out the wazoo until they have no money. And that's more likely where we're going because they just passed more stuff in New York and they got more stuff in California. This is going to get expensive because I seriously doubt the executive branch underneath Biden is going to start sending in federal troops to enforce existing laws, in this case of Bruen. Now, a state, say Texas, where Attorney General Ken Paxton told clerks they can refuse to issue same-sex marriage licenses, could try its luck. Quote, "You don't have to obey a red light," Vladeck cracked, "but it's pretty easy to guess what would happen. A plaintiff would bring a civil rights suit, courts would rule in their favor, and the state would probably have to pay for the plaintiff's attorney's fee under a federal law. So that really puts us at the end of the road here. You've got three different options. You can do nullification, which states would pass their own laws, which violate the Supreme Court. That ain't going to happen. So that's not the one. Whoops. Then you've got the situation of federal enforcement from the executive branch. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. Then you've got the civil forfeiture and the civil lawsuits, which are going to cause immense amounts of damages out of the state's coffers to individuals and citizens. My personal guess, this last one, as California and New York continue to go out on their spree and try to dance the edge between infringement and the Supreme Court had told me to, this isn't going to work too well when they continue to pay out and pay out and pay out and pay for more and more litigation and more settlements until they finally get the message that they've really only been funding the Second Amendment further and further and further. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you again so much for helping me get to 400,000 subscribers, and I will see you tomorrow morning on the Bullet Points. I'm Braden. See you later.